How's it going, YouTube? Akshay here, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing Godzilla 1998. So, admittedly, I just watched it, obviously, right before this, and I had seen it as a child. I'll get into it, obviously, in the spoilers. It was like the ending scene is like what always stuck with me. But yeah. To many G fans, this is considered obviously like the worst Godzilla movie. I mean, I guess the only other worst one is Godzilla, like the Monsters Attack, or like the Godzilla's Revenge, the one with Gabra, where the kid has a dream. That's probably like definitively the worst, but this one's up there, right? But obviously it did the G-Man a disservice. Looks nothing like him, and spoiler alert. He dies in this movie by the military, which is like, if you know anything about kaiju movies or Godzilla movies, is that the military, is powerless against these creatures. So it's I guess a slap in the face to fans. But I saw it, and honestly, I know this is a bit controversial. I think the movie's underrated. Now, look, there's no hiding, obviously, as a Godzilla film, horrible. That's not the G-Man. It was so bad, in fact, that Toho bought the rights to it, rebranded this monster as Zilla, and then, of course, in Godzilla Final Wars, Zilla was easily killed by the real Godzilla in, less than, 30 seconds. But, yeah, that aside, as a film, as a monster film on its own, if this wasn't a Godzilla movie, if this was, whatever name, Zilla, right? If this was just, Zilla, as a monster movie, I think it's pretty good. I mean, not perfect by any means, but honestly, I think the movie is, overhated. It's not as bad as people think. But I guess here, we'll get into the story, right? So, the movie essentially follows Matthew Broderick's character, I forget his first name. Nico. There we go. Nico Tatopoulos. But then there's a running gag in the film where no one can pronounce his name right, and of course they have to constantly, he has to constantly correct him. But yeah, we follow Nico Tatopoulos, and essentially he's a biologist. Deals with radiation. We see him in Chernobyl. Well, of course we get the tease of Godzilla. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. Where he attacks Japanese fish carrier ship, and then of course cut to Matthew Broderick and all that, and yeah, essentially he's brought on. He's taken off his work in Chernobyl. He's digging up worms, and flown out to I believe it was Panama. And Panama's one of the areas he goes to, but essentially, he's brought on to investigate what is this giant creature, right? Obviously, they find the footstep. And essentially, the whole film is Godzilla Matthew Broderick and the team following Godzilla, obviously trying to figure out what it is and essentially kill it, right? Because they're with the military. And yeah, essentially, the movie's just one big, it's a lot of military. The human, I guess that's another complaint people have, is that the human element in it is it takes up a lot of it. Godzilla's in it sporadically, more towards the end, as usual. But yeah, it's the human story's just Matthew helping to find out what Godzilla's doing, where he ends up when he hits Manhattan. And the nest, and of course he has babies, find out that he's pregnant. And yeah, it's just your standard I guess search and destroy mission. And of course we have to have a love interest, which to me was one of the weaker elements of the film. I don't know, the love interest it didn't add much for me, because it's yeah, we get it, they were college sweethearts, right? And then they went their separate ways and whatnot. But I don't know, it's just the scene specifically that I guess got I didn't like it just didn't make sense to me, was so she essentially like not blackmail, but they meet up again. She takes a tape, right? Because they're obviously the military has been recording Godzilla, right, throughout like his stops, he will until he gets to Manhattan, and she's like an aspiring news reporter, and she takes a tape, which I guess Karma, right? Essentially her boss who like doesn't want to promote her to like a full on reporter. Um, Her boss steals the story, and it's just like, yeah. I guess what I didn't like was just the idea that why would Totopoulos, right? Why would he just forgive her? Because essentially she gets him fired from the mission, we'll call it, right? Like the military, like, you know, they all see the broadcast and they're like, that's our footage. Like, you know, you went to the press. And it's like, no, I didn't. And it was her, right? Obviously, everyone puts it together. Oh, she did it. And then there's that whole, like, him leaving, right? Like, leaving to the airport. And they have that whole talk in the rain and whatnot. I didn't like that. I don't know. It's like, why would you forgive her? She literally, like, messed with everything. And then earlier, it's explained that he proposed to her when they were in college, right? They were, like, they had their thing. And she said no. So it's like, you get what I'm saying? It's like, this girl's nothing but, like, bad news. And it's like, that just took me out of it. It's like, why would all of a sudden he, like, forgive her and be like, oh, you know? Like, nah, that didn't, at least to me. I mean, hey, you guys let me know. That didn't add up. And then we have a French character, too. I don't know. I mean, hey, the movie came out in 1998, so it's just funny. Like, I mean, if it came out now, you know, it would get canceled, right? But like the French characters, he's like he disguises himself as like an insurance guy or a doctor, but then we find out he's actually from the Secret Service, like French Secret Service, and he's been sent in to basically cover up Godzilla because in the intro, right, like the opening credits, we see that Godzilla was obviously caused by the nuclear bombings, like in the Pacific, right? Like near the Mediterranean, like, you know, close to France, right? Essentially, they're trying to cover it up, kill it, you know, like it was their fault, and he's here to clean it up. But the funny thing about that character is, like, it's just straight up, like, stereotype, like half the movie, or like the scenes that he appears in with this crew, right? Like his French crew. They're like drinking coffee, and obviously, you know, being in America, it's French roast, and he'll always be like, oh, this sucks, or, you know, it's very like just straight up like stereotype, like, you know, oh, he's like thinks he's better than everyone, pompous. But yeah, it's like, so Matthew Broderick essentially is the one that theorizes, oh, it's the Godzilla, the monster, is caused by radiation, right? Like the bombings. And then it's like a mutated animal. And then we get the scene, which again, it's like funny, where Godzilla is like pregnant, even though you would think, oh, okay, so they would refer to it as a she. But no, the whole time it's like, no, it's a guy, but he's pregnant. If he reproduces asexually, okay? Right? He lays eggs. And he theorizes that there's a nest before he gets removed, right, from the mission. And then he gets, the French guy kidnaps him, right, back in that love scene, right, where he tells the girl, like, I'm leaving. He gets kidnapped by the French guy who properly introduces himself as, you know, Secret Service, and that they're there to stop Godzilla. He teams up with them, of course. The girl, and then she has, like, we'll call them, like, reporter friends, too. Again, they're pretty forgettable. Like, it's, like, a couple, right? Her friends, the girl and the guy. The girl's, like, barely in the movie. And the guy is, like, I guess he's, like, Anthony, he's, like, a major player, because, obviously, he's the one that, like, there's, like, again, another running gag. I guess that's, like, a bad thing, too. There's, like, too many of those, where he's recording Godzilla, and obviously every time he's about to get stepped on, it's like he barely makes it, you know, like he doesn't get to, like, the first part, Godzilla steps down, he's like right between the toes, the next part is like he just gets out the way, you get it. But essentially, they go after Matthew Broderick and the French team, and of course they're down there, in the tunnels, because at this point Godzilla's being lured by fish a couple times, like to feed it, and again Matthew Broderick pointed out like, oh, there's probably a nest, because he's like, all that fish isn't like for him, it's probably like to feed, and he turns out he was right. It Godzilla nested up in Madison Square Garden. Oh, well, here. Before that, the military had several attempts to kill him. They all fail. I don't know how. Like, they have lock-on technology, like rockets, and they all miss, blow up buildings. But finally, they kill him with the submarine, right? He's thought to be dead. But in reality, he nested up in Madison Square Garden. And the French team, they show up, and that's where they find like all the eggs, because earlier they were like, oh, it's probably like he'll lay like 12 eggs most, and nah, it was like hundreds, filling up the garden, like the Madison Square Garden. Pretty crazy. And yeah, obviously they're there to detonate them, but they don't have enough, and of course the movie turns into like a Jurassic Park ripoff, with essentially the baby Godzillas, all the raptors. And yeah, it's like they all start hatching, of course, and then the military team, and of course Totopoulos' love interest and Anthony, the reporter, they're all together now, and they gotta survive, right? And of course, one by one, all the French team gets picked off, except the main guy. And so it's left to the final four, there's just scenes of them running and stuff. They get to the top where they broadcast out, to the world, whatever. And yeah, again, it's like they reveal that Godzilla had babies, and if the military needs to destroy like the garden. And then it's like a countdown, right? They have to get out. They were informed like they got 6 minutes before the building goes. They leave, and then the scene earlier I was alluding to that like always stuck with me is like when they're leaving the building. It's like when all the little Godzillas are like blocking the entrance, and they got like 30 seconds. So the French guy shoots the lights to like get him out of the way. I don't know why, of all scenes, right? That's the one that stuck with me. But they get out. Then we have like a really long chase scene. Like I don't know about you guys, but that thing felt like it was half an hour long of like Godzilla chasing them in a taxi. But essentially, long story short, the military kills him on the Brooklyn Bridge, and yeah, he dies. And then we get the little post credit scene. It was at the end. You get the little tease. So they thought he was dead, but then he comes out of nowhere, and they kill him. And then there's like that scene where one egg survives, right, and it hatches, like sequel baiting, right? But of course, it never happened. Even though it's funny that this movie is actually like, I think with inflation and everything, it is the most successful Godzilla movie of all time, even more than the recent ones. I mean, hey, Godzilla vs. Kong is still out. Hopefully, it'll beat it, right? But yeah, crazy to think that this movie is. But yeah. So that's like the story overview. Now, like what I thought. I mean, I think it's pretty good. Like I said, as a Godzilla movie, yeah, the character's not. It's like very different. I mean, hey, there have been different iterations of Godzilla. I mean, you have Shin Godzilla, very different, right? But it was like, I don't know. With this one, it's just missing so many of like the qualities, because I mean, you have the anime Godzilla Earth, right? The giant, like, 1,000 foot tall, like, plant one. But I guess with Shin and that one, they all just, like, they're different, or they take different approaches, but at the end of the day, they're still Godzilla. Like, they're still recognizable, right? They have, like, the Godzilla silhouette. We all know, like, an upright dinosaur. Whereas this one, it was more like a T-Rex and an iguana, I would say. And yeah, like he didn't have the atomic breath. He didn't have that, and he was pretty weak. Like I mean, yeah, he like destroyed buildings, but again, he died. Like he never really put put up a fight. I mean, yeah, obviously he'll run through the military, right, break their tanks and stuff. But I don't know. He was just different, like just not at all what you would think Godzilla would look like. And funny enough, it's like Toho, right? They actually approved this design, but apparently when it had come out, they were shocked. They were very like, oh, that does not look like Godzilla at all, you know? And yeah, it's like, so yeah, I guess negatives I would say is like the design. Again, like plot wise, I would say like the love interest or like just that side of the story, like, you know, the reporter chick, her friends, like they were very uninteresting. You know, it was like, who cares? The French guy was like, you know, somewhat. But yeah, it's like, I mean, to give a rating, if I had to say, I'd give the movie like, as it is, again, like if it was another monster movie, probably like a 7.5 out of 10. It's good. I don't think it's as bad as people say. I mean, it's enjoyable. I mean, if you guys haven't seen, I only paid $1 for it. So here, was it worth the investment? The $1? Yeah. I mean, any movie would be, right? But yeah, I mean, I recommend it. Buy it. You know, if you could get it under $10, $5, it's worth it. And yeah, I think it's overhated. Not as bad as people think. I mean, yeah, there's not much to say about it. I mean, it was America's first attempt at a Godzilla movie. And then, you know, didn't get one until 2014, where we have the MonsterVerse now. And I don't know. It's crazy to look at that, right? To look back and be like, how much has changed, like, from that one to this one, where, right, Toho, or like, everyone was of the opinion that, oh, you know, they don't know, Hollywood doesn't know how to make a Godzilla movie. But, I mean, and 2014 wasn't perfect either, to be honest. I mean, felt like it was too, I don't know, it was too slow, or like, you know, if you're a Godzilla movie, like, at least show him more. But that's my opinion, right? But yeah, guys, this is just my thoughts on Godzilla 1998. Not a bad movie. Check it out if you can. Find it for cheap. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought, you know? And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good jazz, and be on the lookout for future content, guys. But yeah, this is just my little review of 98, and yeah, as always, I've been your host, Soxy. Take care.